Let me try doing this. Now, talk again, Mace.
I'm
All right.
saying
That should
words.
do it. That should do it.
Okay.
She's coming in her source and in the desktop audio, so I just muted the source. Should be fixed, right? Right, everybody?
Nobody was complaining, so I think you're doing a great job. Actually, you just got gifted tier sub, so I think you did the
Oh
best job.
my gosh.
Now you earned the CCO position.
All right. Well, thank you. This is my
Doing
first
great.
2 minutes as chief creative officer. So
So
welcome.
weird you're not wearing the CCO crown that clearly comes with the job.
Oh,
Yeah, and every job has a hat, right? Like that's why they say wearing many hats. So
right, right. I
you can
actually did
the
just
hats
get
on,
a mega pack of cheap hats, so I could wear all of them at once, maybe.
or even just a helmet. That's fine.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
All right. I mean, it's your namesake, right?
It's behind a load of crap right now, though.
Uh,
The old hamster helmet.
it's not a nice thing to call me, but all right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this stream. Very excited to have you here. I will explain, we are in the comfort of our homes tonight. We do have a great painting set, but I did ask Hamster if it was okay. Because to be very honest with you, I'm not feeling great. And I have been working for whatever weeks straight, might be a little sick. So this is the safest option. Hamster also lives like, I don't even know, you live in like Harlemish, and that like Brooklyn, Harlem, long commute. So like doing it from home with you not having to, truck in the supplies is
Plus,
the ideal.
plus we have the technology.
Yeah, it turns out
You know?
2020, great for technology,
Yeah.
horrible for being alive, but
And you know
like,
what? Round of applause for May. She's feeling a little under the weather, but she is still here. I said, look, do you want to be on camera? She's still showing her face, her energy. So I commend you. It's a lot more
I'm
fun when you're here,
holding my
so.
popsicle stick, so like whatever. But thank you for coming. We're very
What?
excited to show you this. This is another detailed painting stream. Hamster actually knows this specific area very well. This is kind of like, I don't think it's your first deep dive, but like definitely biome wise, I think that you definitely had like the helm of the painting
No,
job with this.
100%. This is the first time that I have designed the paint on a terrain sector in its entirety. So I'm really excited, especially because it's one of my favorite sets.
I think it's a lot of people's too.
Favorite sectors. Yeah.
I know that a lot of people have cited sci-fi as kind of their inspiration. Is that like where you got yours too, or do you have something else that you drew from?
My inspiration mostly came from conversations with Nate and other people brainstorming, sort of elven palettes, a lot of other fantasy art in the elven realm. I also love weathering and kind of ancient stuff, so it's fun to add that spice. What I'm actually really interested in doing is getting these to factory and then the factory paint, and then we can maybe add a couple extra things to go a little further, because I like to go crazy uh, with weathering and stuff. But yeah, this went through a few iterations, um, especially holding it in front of your face and then putting it on Dread Hollow or the like. Definitely gives you some perspective, but I'm really happy where we ended up, and I hope you guys are too. And I'm happy to say this scheme, it has quite a few steps, but there is zero color mixing. If you have Picorni paints, you have pre-mixed paints for this scheme. So I'm very happy that it worked out that way, because it
That's
makes it a
awesome.
little easier, a little faster. So
Did you have that in mind when you made it? Or
yes, yeah.
okay,
Me
cool.
and me and Aaron talked about that. We said let's try to do some, like, at least first. We're never gonna stifle any creativity. A lot of the stuff, especially the plants and stuff, there's all kinds of colors all over the place. But as a starting point, let's see how far can we get with the colors that we have access to. Because especially when you're doing a number of pieces, you get a large set. As soon as you have to mix a color, that adds a lot of time to your paint. So it's an efficiency thing, but without sacrificing cool factor, at least in this case, I think.
So I guess so first of all, Michelle, Lady Sibel is in the chat. She's the one that did a lot of the sculpting for this,
Absolutely
which
amazing. Beautiful sculpts.
gorgeous. A little sad we didn't have more of the sculpts that she made in it, but they are going to come out eventually. I did want to point out one of these pieces is not like the other. I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like I don't have to flag it.
yeah. These are all different kinds of prototypes. These are our polystone that come in from the manufacturer, and this is either Toby or Michelle cast this one. This is just consumer level
Or
resin.
Macy.
Or Macy. Wait, have you been casting stuff?
I cast and I do base paint.
Really? Guys,
Yeah.
Mace is doing like literally everything you can. She was even painting this time around.
It's the many hats thing.
You're wearing like literally every hat that is available at Dormforge.
Yeah, I try.
You like you need to get like the cap and you need a pin for each, and it's gonna be covered in pins for each position, like a scout.
I've made myself one of those Girl Scout
Badges.
sashes,
Yeah,
and nobody
sash
else
with
is allowed
badges.
to have one that has more than 10 pins, and then I have 100. So like, it's the whole like Mace is right button that I keep talking about. Anyway, sorry. And then the third casting you have.
Oh, this one is a polystone that I did the base coat on because it takes a while to dry. So I thought I'm gonna base coat these two, and while those dry, we're gonna do this piece in its entirety, and then we can maybe like speed paint the others because I want to show you the scheme, and then show you like how quick it can actually paint, because that's something I had to figure out as I started doing bulk. But the steps are designed in a way where you can go quickly in the beginning, and any mistakes that occur, a little sloppiness here and there, are covered up by the next steps. So hopefully it'll be fun to paint and pretty fast.
I think we're gonna have a good time.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, these are fun to paint. I like these.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually see the process of it too because it it looks very complicated, but knowing you, I feel like you can like simplify it so it's approachable.
Yeah, yeah. It's really it's not like I said. It is. There's a good number of steps in it, but they're all pretty low precision steps. Like to execute them technically is not very difficult.
Awesome. Should we
Um,
get started?
let's do it.
All right.
So the first step is just going to be an all over base coat of base salt blue. And I was torn between this step because it's one of those things that you have a bunch of these dark pieces, and sometimes when you paint it, yeah, you're kind of like, it dries dark. How much is it really doing for me? But if you were to eliminate it, you would definitely notice. So it's it's tough to do a blue over like black, but trust me, it's gonna be worth it. So that's what we're gonna do first. So I'm gonna get the blue on both of these just to show you how quick and sloppy you can be, and then we're gonna do just this piece in its entirety before we move on to the others because those will be drying for a while. So just squirting. I'm not using any fancy palette. I have talked about wet palettes in the past, but you don't need that for this. So I'm just squirting your blue just on a regular old palette. Got just a regular old brush. Anything that's been beaten up for a while. And don't belabor this step too much. If you see some heavy pools in a certain area, maybe dab those out of there so it doesn't dry over detail, but this is mostly going to be covered up. So just get it on there.
Spoonbender would like to know how many copies of each piece get made in preparation for a Kickstarter. And this is kind of a complicated answer because I feel like with other Kickstarters, it would probably be more precise. This Kickstarter was different because it was done in a pandemic. So the factory we normally work with wasn't able to print every piece that we needed for the videos. And so because of that, Toby and I had a lot of work casting them. And we actually had sculptors mostly send us the molds of pieces and then send the sculpts right away to the factory. But you probably know the counts better than I do, even for the pieces, because
You
I don't know.
know, I am never 100% sure on the counts. Even in the previous Kickstarters, it's always just a lot.
Yeah.
Because you think you painted the last of them, and then more show up. So it's a little hard to keep track, but you know, when you see the videos of these like 8x8 builds, that's close to the capacity. That's close to like the number of prototypes we have, I'd say, with like mountains. There's probably a few extras because they exist in other builds too. So like imagine like the biggest build you've seen us do and then slightly more. Like
Yeah,
that's about how many pieces it is.
that's a great answer.
Um Especially because a lot of those creative builds and before they're set in their configurations, people are just playing around. Nate's doing a lot of moving different quantities around and that kind of thing. So you need to do a little bit extra, a little bit more than. It's tough to put a capacity on it, a maximum on it.
And you have to like make it kind of like in case it breaks proof.
Yes, yes. Especially in shooting, you're doing a lot of cool cinematic stuff, which means there's some stunts involved, and so you got to make some stunt doubles.
Right.
I've done.
Nobody's Tom Cruise in this process.
Yeah, yeah. I've done a lot of emergency paint
And
touch-ups
gluing.
and
Also.
gluing.
Yeah.
Many of the team minis that exist are often
Oh, they're
suffering the most injuries.
like ooh, it's I don't know how many castings we have, but I don't think a single one of them is a whole mini
No,
anymore.
we only have like 2 of each, so they've gone through the ringer in multiple Kickstarters,
Yeah.
and now they're just mostly bandaged.
Every every mini's a Frankenstein basically of itself.
Right.
I wonder, maybe it's too early to ask this, but like when I first saw these pieces, I kind of wanted to do a very classical, like kind of Greek ruin scheme or like Roman and wanted to go like very white. I like what led you to blue?
That's kind of what I thought too. That was my first instinct, was to do something like that. But then we got to talking, and talking about sort of the elven background that was in the initial concept before any sculpts or anything. The kind of magical aspects of them, and their contrast against the other wilderness pieces.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when, because a lot of my first pieces were that way, were kind of just that sand, dust colored, ancient, classic ancient looking ruin. But then we put it up against some other pieces and we're like, I need something else. But what's interesting about it, and that's why steps like this are so important, is all it is that same scheme that I did at first and adding colors before it. That sort of just influence. Because when you put like that sandy color over a color like this, it's going to appear way different than if you just did it over like a brown or something.
Yeah.
So it's actually very similar. It's basically just adding cool magical colors underneath the sandstone effect that sell it as still a ruin, but a magical one.
Something a little fey touched.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you doing anything with the so I'm fascinated by the resin that is it's supposed to be dark or black, the resin that's on the leftmost that hasn't been touched yet. Do
Yeah,
you put blue on that still?
there is blue on this. Yes,
You already put blue on it.
this has blue on it. Yeah,
Okay, I was wondering
yeah,
because it comes out kind of purple sometimes.
yeah. And
Nate's a fan of, obviously, but
right, like, and sometimes there is going to be a little variation, but that's good, especially for a ruin. That's why a lot of these first steps, you don't need to be very precise, because if they're like blotchy, or you miss a spot or you touch a spot you weren't supposed to, it just adds variance and kind of damage looking spots in the end anyway. So it's actually kind of works for you when you have some odd spots. So that's why I'm not being careful at all with, especially with this step.
can I ask you, this is kind of off topic, but I feel like I've had a few painters in the chat that kind of come to watch painting streams sort of for the ASMR uh, effect of it. Should we like give more pauses? Do I talk too much?
No, I like it.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoy the talking, and I like talking about the schemes and stuff. I mean, I don't know.
I do too, but like if it's not on brand for like ASM like the painting scheme, kind of videos, I'll back PF off. But if not, I'm a chatty little girl.
I love
Also,
it.
I want to flag. Somebody in chat earlier said that my jokes are bad.
Yeah,
So,
also, somebody asked for my private address.
yeah, no, that was Chris. He would want to know where you live no matter what. But the jokes being bad is not somebody we work with. So
So, like, what
ow.
gives?
Also, I guess I'm gonna have to take classes from Hamster now, the master comedian at Dwarven
Oh,
Forge.
God, yeah, yeah, paying for classes. That's, I hear that makes me a master.
That's what I hear.
I already
So
said
all that
I'm
makeup.
learning just how bad I am. That's what I'm learning. But yeah, so who am I banning?
Don't worry
Who am
about
I
it. We
perma
did you.
banning?
Oh my God! Did you hear about me accidentally banning Stefan?
No.
Okay, we're not gonna talk about
Okay, that's
it.
funny.
It was
Oh
so
god. Oh god,
bad.
I'm hitting things.
I
Earthquake.
I'm not gonna go into details, but a few small of them. It banned him for 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes. And as soon as I figured out how to unban him, he never came back. So
Oh no.
I know.
Wait, were you trying to ban someone else or like what was the situation?
The clock next to people's names means banning, just so you know.
Oh, okay. So there was a cool function that you hadn't tried out yet and
I know, I didn't
you
know.
figured out exactly.
Yeah. I knew what power I held and
Right.
I wielded it.
Yeah, so watch out everybody.
So this is
She's
my last day actually.
dang, that's rough. I got promoted and you're getting canned. That's
I know,
harsh.
I know. Actually, you know what? That kind of fits the bill. Week one of Kickstarter, that's kind of it seems on brand.
Yeah, banished to the elemental planes Altar was exactly.
Duke of Death. How do you feel this Kickstarter's gone for you?
For me?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's awesome. It was like record breaking. The first hour was record breaking.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes it worth it, right? It's like you're working so many crazy hours. There's a bunch of deadlines and craziness that happens, but the launch is always exciting. No matter how rough it was previously,
Yeah.
it's nothing but exciting once it
A little
gets
too
going.
exciting.
Yeah?
For me. Yeah.
Context? What happened?
I just kept celebrating.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just
There's
nonstop
nothing wrong with
parties?
that. It's like there's nothing wrong with celebrating. It just comes with a price.
Right.
But as everything does.
All right, so I'm putting Bubbles Blue on the palette. This step is especially important to make sure you're getting your brush in the recesses because that's where this is going to show up the most because your dry brushes aren't going to hit that as much. The basalt blue, I mean. But now we're going on to Bublé's Blue.
Bublés.
Yeah, Michael Bublé's Blue.
Oh, he would love to hear that.
Yeah?
Is there a reason why you chose to do a dry palette tonight?
Um, for Dwarven Forge pieces, I'm moving away from the wet palette because the factory doesn't have wet palettes. So the
Oh,
stuff that I can achieve with it can't always be done easily.
right. And
Um,
you're doing unmixed colors too, so it's kind of like you don't really need to.
yeah, and most of the terrain schemes are like there's a lot of dry brush used, which obviously you're not using super wet paint. So I did it on the minis to experiment with some like cool effects, and they've done some of them. But again, it's that kind of that thing of mixing colors or not. To start with, I'm going to try to do something without those type of effects, and see if I can achieve it. That's the challenge with like painting for manufacturing. Is how can you get a cool effect within the ideal realm for that? And then if I want to get crazy, like the wyvern that everyone saw has some cool effects that you kind of need wet paint for. But I think they can do them because they've done it before. So certain pieces, I'll be selective with those type of effects,
Cool.
and they weren't needed for these pieces.
I'm being told by Hahali, I think Hey Lee. I don't know, it's spelled like haha and then Lee. You guys are saying basalt wrong. It's basalt, not basalt.
Done.
Okay,
Changed. Basalt?
basalt. It's,
Like a
I guess
sheep.
it's an East Coast thing that we're doing. But like oddly enough, Hamster and I are both from the Midwest, so
Well, yeah, but you know what? I've noticed that they do align some places. It's like a clamped thing, at least for me.
clamp?
Like basalt. I don't know. I just clamp my jaw. I grind my teeth at night and stuff, so I just have a
Oh, you're
clamp.
talking about like the actual physical movement of it?
Yeah, it's like
Basalt
yeah,
instead
like
of
yeah, I'm walking here. It's like basalt,
well,
but
I feel
also
like
it's
I've
like
always said
basalt. There's just about difference in vowels. So I'm going to talk about paint now. Oh, did you freeze on me? I thought she didn't like what I was saying. Let's call her back. I thought she was like, scratch that, hamster. Oh dear.
hello, sir.
Hi. Oh god, we
Hi.
have.
Can you still hear me on the
I
other side?
I hear you. I don't see your video. Is it up?
All right, we don't need that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think my computer froze pretty hard.
Okay.
It was mid really good facial expression from both of us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, see. I said a thing, and I thought you were just like so not having it that you just had no
oh,
comment.
what'd
So
you say? What'd you say?
I don't know. I was just talking about weird dialect stuff, and I was like, all right, I'll keep painting, I guess.
Nah. I don't think anything could make me not talk. I'm pretty chatty.
Yeah.
Well, I'm rebooting the old Macintosh.
Oh, are you on your phone right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Cause I got your call on the streamer now. Like you're live.
Hey.
Hey. Okay.
Hey, we're live.
So we're going on to the next dry brush.
Okay, cool.
This can be a really sloppy dry brush. You can actually use if you use a light brush pressure, you can leave your paint kind of wet to make it faster because there's one more dry brush at the end. That's going to cover any mistakes or any sloppy zones. So this isn't an entirely dry brush. I'm leaving quite a bit of paint on there, but just don't press down too hard.
And for the people who have ocular, they can't see. What color is it?
Michael Bublé's blue.
Oh, it's still Bublé's. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Good to know. And did you, for the very small details on this, I guess I'll find out. But I'm interested to see how you like bring out the moon kind of little accent pieces on it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're
We'll cover this.
they're some of the brightest, and then the final dry brush kind of knocks it back down so that it's coherent with the rest of the scheme, but they'll still be bright.
Right on. So when you were trying out the sandstone part of the ruins and everything, I guess like would you recommend if you wanted the ruined effect where it's kind of more traditional, would you recommend doing any certain Picorni colors for an alt paint scheme?
Well, if you're going for that kind of classic dusty, dirty look, we got a lot of browns. We got a lot of browns in the Picorni collection. So start with a dark brown, maybe base wood, something like that. I'm a big fan of deep lava because there's a lot of red in it, but it's not an insane amount. So it puts it, I like to say, it puts it on the color palette a little bit as opposed to being just brown.
That's like a purpley red, right?
Yeah. So something like that, and then maybe go back to Dwarven Forge favorite of Caverns dry brush. Before the stone edge. You see how fast that goes when you can do a little wet paint, and there might be some sloppy parts, but there's gonna be a whole other dry brush after this that's a little lighter that will make those spots disappear. That was just a couple quick swipes though, so it's pretty fast. But yeah, so because the spoiler alert, the last step is a stone edge dry brush, which is very bright. So I would do brown and a mid-tone like caverns dry brush, maybe even like olive dry brush, and then highlight it with that stone edge again. Just like we will here.
What was the regional thing you were saying before?
What do you mean?
You said that you thought I wasn't having it with the regional dialect.
Oh,
thing.
I just feel like some of the vowels are the same between the East Coast and the Midwest dialect.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think that East Coast, I have a lot more in common with the accents here than I would with the West Coast, at least.
Definitely.
But I do say like a lot, which seems to be a very West Coast thing.
Very California.
It's very California.
Bam.
All right, I'm rebooting my computer, so I might be able to hop back onto camera soon.
All right.
Not quite sure what caused the disruption, but if it happens again, I'll stay on phone.
I gotta, keep chatting for a little bit because I'm gonna mute my mic just for a second because this paint is still wet, and I'm gonna use a very miniature painting specific tool that might resemble a hair dryer.
Okay,
as well.
I'll keep talking. You go ahead and you brush your hair out. Don't really know what to say, obviously, because this is the part that I have the most folly with joke wise. But luckily, some people. Oh, all right. I guess I'm not going to tell any jokes. I keep getting blown away. All right. So, I guess I'm going to look at my mailbox, see all the jokes you guys sent to me, which you guys sent me a lot of very good jokes. Ooh, wait, Spoonbender's on stream, and he like give me a specifically good one. Let me look it up. My computer's also being very slow, which is lovely and fun. Spoonbender, if you're still here, please don't say it in chat yet. I'm not ready. I'm never ready. Who prepares for this kind of stuff?
Okay. Well, your time's up, so.
Oh wait. Shh. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What's the best thing about living in Switzerland?
What's that?
I don't know, but the flag's a big plus.
Nice. See, I should be taking lessons from you.
No, because I got that joke from the audience, so you really should just be on stream more and just pay attention to the comments, and they'll come to you.
All right.
Do you have any good jokes that you want to, play test with the audience?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
All right.
You know what? Like, I don't know. A lot of the bits I want to do are just like silly performative stuff and not like clever lines, Like that's where my instinct goes.
I think all my best jokes I've already said and have had there's been no reception for them besides Chris being like, no, that genuinely is a good bit. You just don't know how to deliver it, which is a good thing to hear.
Some constructive feedback.
When you stream every day.
I will say I did throw you because you guys might have heard me speak muted for a second because I muted myself on the stream, but not for Mace. So she was like trying to tell jokes, and then this hair dryer would just blast into her ear. Very unfortunate. I apologize.
No, it's a good bit. I know you were doing it on purpose.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a bit. Wasn't that great? That's my top bit.
It was worth it for the bit. It's
the old hair dryer bit.
Classic. I think Low Curly and Mary. What are their names? I think the Three Stooges would be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just lied because I'm used to bulk painting and I just did the second step on all pieces. But now we'll just take this one and do it all the way through.
Okay.
I just habitually did the step because that's obviously the most efficient thing is to do one step across a group of pieces.
Did you get Hellscape unpainted?
Yeah, I got all my stuff unpainted. I have 2 Dread Hollow Forests from Cavernscape unpainted. Yeah, I don't know when that's going to happen, but...
Nobody does. I also got it unpainted, but I'm a wise man, and I sent it to my father, who likes painting minis. Also, I'm in a New York tiny apartment, so I couldn't store it here anyway. So, Dad, if you're watching, feel free to paint them or not. That's not your job, but I can't have them here.
I am starting to wonder where my next sets are gonna go. I'm starting to run out of space.
Send them to your good old ma.
Yeah?
I mean, I think she would like it.
There are...
Knowing her as well as I do.
Right. There is a bit of a treasure trove of old miniature stuff that I find in her basement sometimes.
From your heyday.
Yeah, my heyday.
Heyday.
Yeah, I peaked in high school, so.
Didn't we all? I definitely did. I mean, I always look back and I think about how I could never get better test results than I did in high school. It's like, yeah, college is over, whatever, but like now I just go to the doctor and get test results, and so they're all either positive or negative. No A pluses anymore.
Yeah. There's no middle
What's
ground.
that all about?
There's no middle ground. There's no like B, room for improvement, you know?
Yeah, either you fail or you pass with exceeding colors.
Right. I want to go back to the days where I'm just getting a C by the skin of my butt, you know?
Ah, isn't that... Yeah, I miss that.
Just exactly passing.
RIP public education. All right, I think my Skype might be coming up soon, so go ahead and charm everyone, and I'll call you hopefully within a minute.
Okay.
On my computer. If not, I'll call you on my phone.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Bye.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. They say.
You're a guy. Please don't answer for them. All right.
Okay. Bye. All right, it's just us. Okay, so this next step, we're basically going to do all of the details, all of like the architectural details, like these corner pieces and stuff. Basically, what I mean is all the details except the nature, the organic plants and stuff. The details that were on the construction when it was first built. And then the final dry brush gives it that dusty effect. It goes on some of the details, makes them a little less clean. It's a little varied. I'm sorry about that. It's a little varied because we're dry brushing. And so it makes it cohesive and old looking. We can talk about Mace, exactly. Hugging the AC. Yeah, my AC is rattling. It's on energy saver, so it like comes on intermittently. I don't know if you can hear that. I try to turn it on low, which I think makes it like harder for it to restart or something, because I've never heard it do that. But so there's some details that are metallic. They're gonna end up being silver, and I find that they look better when you hit them with blue again. So again, because we're going back to an old color, and it's going to be covered by another color, this does not need to be belabored. This can be very fast. But it helps the effect a lot. So it's important to identify the steps that do take a little more precision, which steps are the ones that you add extra energy on, and ones that you don't, because this is a step that maybe could be omitted, but it would affect the final result. So if you do it with its purpose in mind, which is low precision and supporting a color that's going to go on top of it, you can add steps like that in, because you know how fast you can be with it. Here she is.
Hi.
Hi, hello.
Hi, hello. I did not figure it out on my computer.
So this is the mobile,
back
huh?
To the good old-fashioned telephone.
Amazing. Wait, your video's on. Do you want your video up?
That I don't care either way.
All right, we're doing it then.
All right. I'm trying to pull up the comments too.
Sweet. Oh man,
There.
Mace is big. Oh god. Taking over the stream.
No.
She's taking over the stream.
No. Oh, excuse me. It says you're using a device that could record this broadcast? Are you a narc? He muted himself because he is. Are you gone?
Oh, sorry. No, my mic was muted because
Okay.
the siren was going and didn't unmute it. But I'm if you're
Oh,
if
what
you're
a
not
big
careful, I'm
show.
gonna
We
put.
should have gone to the office. I feel bad now.
Wait a
Now
minute.
I'm getting a call from you on Skype on my
I'm getting
computer.
this call from you. This is going swimmingly.
I know.
I'm gonna try to hang this one up.
You're gonna hang up?
Yeah, I hung up on you.
All right, bye.
Okay. I was saying, you be careful. I'm gonna put you in my paint water again.
You put me in your paint
Yeah,
water?
remember when I took your little camera and I was moving it around?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I thought you meant you put your phone in your paint water.
Why would I do that?
I don't know. That's why I was surprised.
Okay, so I was saying we're going on to some of the details here.
All right, let's see him.
We're going back to the basalt blue, which is going over the
Basalt.
basalt. Is that okay?
Basalt.
Still didn't nail it, but the details are going to be silver. Are these this little twisty deal, and the design on the top to really bring that out. So we're first going to hit it with a quick blue. Very fast, because even if you get it on the plants, you're going to paint over those later. If you get it a little bit on the sides of the ruin, you're going to paint over that too with a dry brush and with weathering. So two steps to hide your sins. So do not belabor this step. This can be very fast. I'm using the side of my brush. This texture is a little bit raised, so I'm just going very fast. If it's a little blotchy, it doesn't matter, because old things get blotchy and varied over time.
It's part of the natural aesthetic.
Yeah.
Blotchy. It's called a liver spot, but... Okay, yeah, I'm back on the stream. All right.
Okay, awesome.
We're back in business. Hey, that's starting to look a lot like a piece I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find all the deeper blue peeking through.
Well, that's the thing. That's why it's a step that is hard to tell until it's gone. It's hard to see until it's gone.
Do you ever would you recommend it as a wash even?
In the end, as a final touch, you could go back to the recesses and do a wash in the deeper areas. I don't think it's 100% necessary. It won't be in the factory scheme. Just because it's an extra step.
I think this is the one piece where I haven't had any, like, I haven't helped with at all. Or, like, the one biome-ish that I haven't helped with at all. So this genuinely is the most, like, I'm learning a lot right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I'm the only one that has painted this so far.
Yep, you definitely are.
Just because Aaron has been designing every other scheme for all the other biomes.
Well, okay, I
So
was
she's
wondering,
been busy.
because, so you started at Dwarven Forge as one of the badge painters.
Yes.
For Caverns Deep?
In Caverns Deep, when we were doing that, when we had like a few weeks of bulk painting, we were talking about how many pieces actually get made for prototypes and marketing and stuff. So when we had a big tray, just tray after tray of pieces, I spent at least 2 weeks straight just base coating. Just base coating.
So, I think right before I started to help Erin with painting, I said to her, I can't believe your whole job is just to paint all day. And then after day like 3 or 4, I was like, I can't believe
Yeah.
like this this is what it's like.
Yeah. Well, especially at that point when it's like, it gets to be kind of a slog. That's why batch painting is important for efficiency, but I've started to do smaller batches so that you get that feeling of kind of accomplishment when you finish a few.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Like for ruins, I probably wouldn't do more than like 6 pieces. I've done like up to like 30 at a time, but that's a slog.
Yeah, vocational banality is like it's a real trying thing. I don't know. I'm very happy for when I get a batch paint again, but when I get stuck in it for a while, it kind of I don't envy you or Aaron.
Yeah.
I feel like ruins would be kind of fun though.
It is fun, but again, it's more. It's quite a few steps, and especially when my reference point is miniatures. I'm taking a look at this piece, and this is a relatively small piece of terrain, but the surface area is that of like 2 or 3 miniatures. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So
yeah.
you kind of gotta factor that in, especially with big pieces. So I'm going to white here. So a lot of the moon details you mentioned are gonna end up being white, but again, that final dry brush is gonna dust them up and stuff, and it's gonna cut the metallic down a little bit because, of course, it wouldn't be shiny and brand new if it was old, but some of it will appear through the final dry brush. So we're doing some of the white details.
You're really good at doing jewels and stuff though, and honestly, if I got this set and painted it, if Macy was in charge, Macy would make them jewels.
I do like painting a jewel effect. You're talking about that jewel that's on like those god tier miniatures we had in the
Yeah,
wargame thing, right? Yeah, those are
yeah.
fun. Do a little reflection on the top.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna say this and it's maybe gonna sound insulting, but I don't mean it to sound insulting, but it's like
I'm
when you
ready.
draw an anime iris and you leave a little
Yeah.
like the light reflection sheen.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what to call it, yeah.
So again, this is just the side of the brush. This detail, I really like how the depth of the detail is just so that you can just let it pick up the paint right off the side of your brush. You don't have to be precise at all. Just
I hate
make sure it's not super wet, so it doesn't flow into the recesses. But just get just enough on the end of your brush. The silhouette of your tip, if the bristles had no paint in them, the shape should be the same with paint. If there's a glob and you can see the shape of the glob, you have too much paint. Um,
good advice.
you can maybe hit this a couple times.
A Haley, I think it might be. The more I look at them, I realize these are my favorite sculpts in the campaign.
Yeah, there's some of my favorites too, that I've seen in all of Dorm Forge.
And then Laura Z says it's a good idea to work in small batches. I remember trying to do a complete Shrine of Sesul during a daunting task requiring some discipline that was hard for me to find.
Yes, smaller batches. Like, efficiency goes both ways, right? Like, it's not just do as much as you can in a batch. It's like, how much can you do that keeps you motivated to keep doing batch after batch. So you have to find that magical number for you. Like for me with these ruins pieces, it's about 5 or 6 probably.
Duke of Death said, too much, but can you paint with an actual brush instead of an eyelash?
What?
I don't think in reference to this brush. I think just in general for like small details.
I'll tell you what, you can always use a much bigger brush than you think. Because as long as your big brush comes to a point. If you have a nice brush, like this is a synthetic one, they don't last super long, but it's brand new. And this is, what is size 3. And people, I did this too. Your instinct is to do tiny details with a tiny brush, but you don't have to do that. You just have to have brush on the or paint rather, on the very tip. And what the rest of the brush does for you is all this holds back here is moisture. It holds moisture in the brush because when you have a tiny brush and you try to work over a couple different areas, the paint dries on the brush. So
So
it ruins it. You have to go back for more paint because it dries on the brush. But the belly of the brush holds moisture, which it is dripping into the tip that has paint in it, so you can keep painting.
would you recommend then like the silicone paint brushes that are like purely just sharp little no moisture holding, just like silicone like
I mean, I've never used those. Those would be good for like freehand stuff. It'd be like it's gonna go exactly where you put it then. So like your brush pressure, you know how like when you press down, the stroke is going to get wider, and if you're light, it's a thinner line. That won't happen. You'll kind of know exactly where the paint's going to go and how. But obviously, kind of like what I just said, there's no moisture held on that. So it's for very small, like almost like writing with a pen, and maybe for
Right.
dotting eyes, like the reflections we were talking about. It'd be useful for something like that.
Rabbit Burner says he has to get enough of these ruins in order to stack them.
Yes, verticality. I love that, and that's why
Have you?
well, that's why they're so well designed, is because they can do that really well, right? Like I don't have two curbs, but uh,
I was gonna say, how high have you gone with them?
I've only gone 2 tiers
I would
myself.
be scared to go 3, but like,
But if you get some poster tack or something on there, some sticky tack, you could
yeah,
do it, and it
for
would hold.
sure. How high do you think they could go?
I mean, they're pretty stable, especially the factory. Like the some of the resin casts, they get a little bumpy on the bottom, but these for sure could probably go pretty high. So yeah,
Hmm.
take a look here. Like this is not precise. You even see some of the blue underneath the white, and that is fine. You want some variance. It's going to help you uh, for the effect in the end. So both of those were quick steps. Now I just squirted some Sassoul Silver onto the palette. Gonna mute my.
He's out. He has a noisy neighborhood. But
Just a dirt bike had to pass by. Actually, I've learned a lot of them aren't even dirt bikes. They're mopeds with a giant exhaust attached to them.
like a rice burner.
Yeah, I don't
Huh.
know what that is actually, but I did say yeah as if I did because I was too
Oh,
afraid to ask.
it makes a car or like a moped noisy. I don't know specifically what it does, but I do remember people arguing about them in my days of youth. Odin Forge DM says this question has probably been asked several times, but after painting this piece, is there a need for varnish?
Definitely not, especially on Dwarvenite. It typically holds uh pretty well. Before I would varnish, I would prime the pieces before I added a varnish step, but you don't even need to do that. All the Dwarvenite that I've painted, no primer, no varnish, and it holds pretty well. It's just the nature of the material, but it wouldn't hurt. It would never hurt. It's just an extra step. If you want to do it, yeah, it's going to help your paint stick, but it's not required for painting on Dwarvenite. But I would probably, before I added a varnish step, I would add a primer step, if anything.
Hmm. If terrain falls over, all players roll a deck save, says Duke of Dearth.
Yeah, exactly.
That reminds, what is that game called? Doom?
The
That
one, that RPG that
the
we played
Jenga
with
one?
Jenga, yeah.
Yeah.
Dread.
Dread, that's what it is, yeah.
So again, this texture is at such a great height that you can use the side of the brush technique, and it's very easy. Just a light pressure, side of the brush, and just let it take the paint off. No precision no pen-like precision. That's one of the reasons why I like the sculpt too. It's easy to paint in that way. But yeah, that was one of the like best RPG nights I've ever had. Like instead of rolling a die, you have to pull from a Jenga tower. So by the end of the game, this thing is toppling. Literally every person made a Jenga pull that I would call impossible. Like if I was looking at it, I would say there is no way that this is happening. And they pulled it because their RPG life depended on it.
Yes. Yeah. Apparently they're also not called rice burners, just so you know. That is
Oh.
something that's a regional racial slur, it turns out, so don't use that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Is that what you
yeah,
were? I
it's
saw you
fun.
typing
Fun
away.
being live, right?
I saw you typing
Um,
away. You were fact checking yourself.
no, somebody else fact checked me, and boy, am I red. Um, I did not like. I apologize deeply. I had no idea, but also cutting it out of my vocab. Thank you for flagging. Anyway, Dread's a lot of fun. Anytime you get to use Jenga as kind of like it's a dicey situation, even without dice.
Nice. So you got jokes.
I got puns. DMN Game says, is this a custom paint scheme or is this the DF paint scheme?
This is the DF paint scheme. So here, I hope you can see, especially at other angles, how important that blue step is underneath the silver.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yes, you can still see it. Like it's
Right.
a solid base color.
Right.
And this is still the silver that you're going in with?
Yes.
Nice.
And I'm taking my time. If you were just focused on these steps, they go very fast. Just use that side of the brush. Because even on these details are a little on the side here are a little shallower, but it still works, especially with the next step that hides any sins.
I really do like that. Is it Sassoul silver that you said?
Sassoul silver, yes.
Ooh, I like the metallic finish on it.
Yeah, very cool. We have a bronze one too, Gorgon bronze.
Ooh, have we seen the factory try to recreate this scheme yet?
I actually haven't had a factory produced one yet. They've just approved the scheme and said, yeah, we can do that.
Nice.
But
I'm excited to see.
That's why certain things like not mixing colors help with that. Keeping the techniques easy to execute, like a lot of dry brushing, helps with that. So I think it's going to be good. Oh, and because we have some of the bubbles blue on our palette still, this is a quick step. I like to just add one more accent. The only thing that will remain entirely bubbles blue are these little gems.
DMN Games says, how far are we into the painting process? Comparing this to the DF pictures, they are very blue in comparison.
This is probably about almost halfway, because we have one more dry brush. That's kind of the end of the building itself, and then it's on to the plants and the weathering.
How do you guys QC factory paint jobs before they go to fulfillment? Asks Desert Dweller 55.
We get a sample, so we mail them physical samples of prototypes like this, and we normally send them some kind of digital file that has the steps. I'm putting some Stone Edge dry brush on the palette.
Do you?
And
sorry.
Well, and so then they'll paint it up based on that and send us either pictures, especially now with mailing being a little more difficult, but we'll also get physical samples that they have painted based on what we've sent them. And then we'll just give them notes. It's just a back and forth trial and error until we're like, yeah, do that. So they're just trying to replicate it as close as they can. And we'll go back and forth until it's satisfactory, and then they're off and away.
Nice. And I feel like before I've seen a physical palette get sent to them. Do you guys still do that for paint schemes?
A physical palette, like just swatches?
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't done that myself yet. Because most of what I've done... Remember, this is the first time that I've done a terrain sector.
Oh,
so most of the miniatures are like small enough where they just look at it and they kind of just match it. But actually for this one, when I sent the instructions, they also asked for a picture of just the colors, just individually on a palette. So they got a picture of colors, which obviously is not exact because it depends on the monitor, or if they print it, it depends. So like, not this time, but again, they looked at the steps and the colors, and we've mailed them samples. So the next step will be getting a sample from them. And if it's like really far off, maybe I would send swatches. But it's usually not. They're usually pretty good. It usually only takes a couple back and forths to get it down.
I think one of the biggest learnings I've had from this Kickstarter is how different monitors have like color value, and like how different printers have color value as well. Like it's very hard to gauge how something's going to come out from one place versus another one.
Yeah,
like
especially with like the terrain tray art and that kind of thing that we're testing out and all that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, terrain tray art has been fun. and quite the challenge. It's like, oh, it's like a riddle that's gone on for 2 months. It's hard. Ooh, have you ever tried the Pantone chips? Duke of Dearth says no Pantone chips these days, so I'm wondering if that's something you've tried before too.
What is that?
It's like there's the color of the year options from a specific paint. It's like a Williams Sonoma type brand.
Okay.
Pantone's very famous for having like very vibrant, very specific colors, as is every paint company. But I mean, I would hope so. But they do a color of the year kind of thing, and have become. I love being a hipster. There's some parts of it that I don't like. I don't like the fact that Pantone color chips now just look like instant photography, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, you know how you take a Polaroid picture and it has that big chunk at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, it basically looks like that, but with just one color.
Okay.
So people will decorate their entire apartment in the paint chips and not even just the paint, which, like, that's fine. That's just my opinion. My opinion means nothing, as does everyone's. We're all going to die. But
Right.
that's mine.
I feel like I learned a little bit about what those chips are and a lot about how you feel about them.
Yeah, probably. That's probably right.
So this dry brush is more like a traditional dry brush where you really want your brush to have as little paint as possible. You want to give yourself the most control in this step. This is the one step where you're taking a little bit more time. You're being a little bit more precise. Like, I hit this area of silver pretty heavy up here, so maybe down here I wouldn't do quite as much dry brushing, just to give us a nice variance. And you might do this 2 or 3 times on each piece. Better to go less and have an additional layer than to be sloppy. But we could afford to be sloppy because we know this step is coming up where it's more controlled. And that's part of the design of the scheme. See up here, we just did a second one, and now it's starting to look more sandstony, more dusty in this corner. And this corner just has one. We can add another layer. We're letting it hit the white, knocks it down a little bit, makes it look a little older. It was once a beautiful white detail. Now it has some of that dusty color on it. That'll happen in all the metallics and everything else.
I'd like to know what, like, yeah, I think you mentioned it earlier, Gorgon Bronze. I'd like to know what that looks like as the dry brush.
Yeah, I did try a step, a version that had bronze detailing. Again, just putting it in the forest, bronze is kind of a warmer metal as opposed to the cool blue silver, and the woods, the wilderness is very warm. So we wanted these a little bit cool on the cool side so that they stand out.
Make it pop.
Yeah.
Duke of Dearth says that the Pantone helps with color management systems. So, for like graphic design and stuff.
Yeah, I would.
It's definitely worth looking into.
Definitely, especially, because, a year from now when we're like, oh, what color was that? You don't want to be thinking about it. You want to have a system, right? That's one of the most important things that I learned when I started painting. I wasn't just base coating pieces. I was like designing schemes for miniatures and stuff. Is I have to write everything down. I think I'm gonna remember. I'll be fine. I'll remember that. And then
you gotta have a paper trail.
A week goes by, and I'm like, oh no, what do I use for that?
I'm Spoonbender says, how many color schemes do you go through before deciding on a final one? Is there ever a first try goes?
You know what? A surprising amount. Sometimes the first time, it's just like, you know what? We nailed it. I think we got it. We don't need to go any further. Let's just ship it, as Nate would say.
Yes.
And other times, you're going through up to 5 maybe I've done.
How many were the ruins?
Ruins probably 3 or 4. But they get closer and closer together. Like the first 2 or 3 might be wildly different from each other, but then it becomes, okay, I like this direction. Let's just tweak it a little bit, and then a slight adjustment. So it's not 3 or 4 like huge deviations from each other. It's usually smaller and smaller adjustments.
that makes sense.
So you can go heavier in some spots. Like I like to go a little heavier where there's this little design texture, this texture down here, maybe a little less near the metallic, just to make sure you're not covering it up entirely. Now you have a good amount of variance. And experiment with the effects of different brushes too, like especially for that first Bubbles Blue dry brush, the little chisel is good to just swipe down the side. But even if you give a big puffy one, or like the Dwarven Forge sort of round puffy one, it's also very good for dry brushing and will have a slightly different effect. Maybe less chalky, but chalky might be good for ruins. But for dry brushing, experiment with different brush. This is actually a makeup brush. So the bristles are really soft, which helps with that.
That is I think people use that also for blush.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It's a dry blush?
That's what it is. Where did you buy that yourself, or did you swipe that?
Oh, yeah, I walked into a Walgreens and I said, yes, I'll take all these makeup
No,
brushes,
I
please.
mean, like, was it your mom's or was it Kate's maybe?
No, I walked in and I said, here's my Walgreens membership number. I would like to purchase a multitude of makeup brushes, please.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because they're really cheap. And they work well for that, for different effects.
I never knew.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm so ignorant today.
In fact, I bought a miniature brand. I'm not going to say the brand because they're still good quality brushes, but I feel that this is marketed as a miniature dry brush, and it's just the same thing. It's just a soft round brush like a makeup brush.
Note for note.
Yeah. So you might as well go for the cheap versions at the pharmacy or something.
Yeah, just go to Walgreens.
Yeah.
I do wonder, now that I have seen, so for the upcoming war game we got a chess timer, and the chess timer we got is exactly the same as another one we were going to get, but it was exactly the same except for the branding on it was different. So now I wonder like how does that happen where it's like the exact same product but a different
so
different
many
people?
things are that way. You'd be surprised. I've learned that too.
Yeah.
It's literally the exact same thing. Even miniature paints. There's two brands of miniature paints that have the exact same pots. They're literally the same serial number, the same factory, and they just put a different sticker on it.
Are you gonna who is it?
I mean, it's not like a bad thing. It's like the old school Citadel paints that are now, they were made by Coat d'Arms, which still exists. They're the same pots as the P3 Privateer Press paints. And some of them, the lid color might be different or something, but it's like the same.
The base of
pot.
The product is the same. Interesting.
Okay.
Army. Oh, sorry.
Well, we're gonna move on to the next step.
Great.
Which is all the plants and vegetation. And so this is similar. Well, it's the same as all of the Dread Hollow Wilderness, any moss patches that are on Aranthor Mountains. And it's also going to be part of the Weathering Step. So it's kind of combined. So we're going to go into that. But what were you going to say? You're talking about Army Painter?
Yeah. There is a comment from Duke of Dearth that says Army Pointer Wargaming laser pointers are $10, but the same laser cat toy is $2. So
yeah, and you know what?
It's worth researching.
I bought the freaking Army Painter ones too. Dang it.
Really?
Yeah.
Even not just line of sight?
Oh, you know what? It is the fancy horizontal one. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
I feel like you get some leeway with that.
Well, maybe. But I'm sure the same thing exists that just doesn't say Army Painter on it.
Probably, yeah. But, I mean, you got to keep Army Painter and Pointer.
Army Pointer?
Army Pointer?
No, Army Painter.
Is it Army Painter?
It's an Army Painter pointer.
All right. Well, you got to keep them, staying afloat.
Yeah.
Hamster is the person I know who has most wholeheartedly supported the miniature gaming business, I think.
I am spending every dollar I earn on miniatures. Yeah. It's very bad, especially in quarantine. That satisfaction of like buying a new thing. Yeah, it's bad. So we're using shallow water grain. Just talking about my addictions.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Who doesn't like having some faults and follies?
Yeah. Yeah. Who got the Indomitus box for Warhammer? Anybody? I bought 2.5.
We'll wait. Rabbit Burner says me 3.
Yeah.
And Craig Kaflar says me 2 before that, so.
Yeah.
Rabbit Burner did buy it.
So this
DMN Game says what happened to the other half?
I'm buying. My friend bought a box, but he was only going to use. There's 2 forces that come in it, 2 different armies, and he was only going to use half of it. So I said I'll buy the other half.
I see. Rabbit Burner also bought 2.5, so I wonder what his other half went to.
Yeah, I bought. So I have 3 times the Necrons, and 2 times the Space Marines.
Oh, which half?
Yeah, so I'll have triple the Necrons.
That's the Space Marines that you got from that? Oh, no, the Necrons?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Rabbit Burner has the same for the Necrons.
I mean, I'm going to be running 60 warriors, right? Like, you just gotta.
So I don't know if you heard it before, but Toby says hi.
Toby, hi!
He says, sup, ham, sup, Macer.
Hi.
And then DMN Game says, are you going to kit bash the Necrons Hamster?
I'm not going to kit bash them, but I do have a concept for the paint that I'm excited about.
Very cool. Are you going to give us any of your secrets?
A few months ago, I walked into a hardware store for a bottle of glue and walked out with 1 million spray cans in different colors, thinking one day I'll surely use these, right? And that day has come for one of them. I basically am going to just hardware spray can the base in like a shiny bronze.
Nice.
Do a little airbrush lighting effect on all the shiny glowy parts. Some weathering enamels that some of you might have seen on like the Stormtroopers I did on my Instagram and Twitch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just bronze, weathered verdigris, and glowy OSL, and all very, very fast. This is a speed paint army. But then, to kick, again, kind of like this, then there's a grand step that adds a cool factor and hides all the mistakes. I'm going to just use medium, like paint without color. Just a thick, goopy thing that's sort of transparent. Not that exact one, but a different one. Spray it through an airbrush as if it's cobwebs. So Necrons are sort of like being resurrected. So these are like they've been in their dusty tomb worlds beneath planets' surfaces, and they're being resurrected. And so I'm going to make them all cobwebby.
I'm also going to post your Instagram in the chat so people can see the Star Wars painting that you did.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff. I haven't been able to stream or post in a while, but after the Kickstarter, I'll definitely get back to some of that. I'm working on an Eldar army right now.
A what?
Well. An Eldar Space Elves army.
Oh, cool.
My buddy back home in Minnesota, we're going to meet up and play an epic game after the Kickstarter.
Yeah, you told me about that. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I forget which live stream it was last year, but Nate specifically bought, I think, like 8 different things to make a cobweb, spiderweb type thing.
Yeah.
And then landed on this spiderweb hot glue gun. Yeah. Is there a reason why you're not using that?
I think the method I'm using with the airbrush has a little more control. Okay. That thing was a little all over the place, and when you're doing it over...
it's chaos.
When you're doing it over a big build like he was, it works out, but for over tiny miniatures, I don't think so. Also, I don't want it to be glue because the medium, just like acrylic paint, is water soluble, right? So instead of the glue drying as is, what would happen is you go crazy with the cobwebs, but then you can just take a wet brush and wipe away any of the cobwebs that you don't want. So you're kind of like painting by taking away material. Like you're just scraping off some of the cobwebs where you don't want them. And if it's glue, of course, it would just dry and you won't be able to do that.
Desert Dweller says Green Stuff World has a specific product for cobwebs.
I did hear about that. I bought this stuff, this medium that I'm going to try first. And I always do test model first. So if it doesn't work out, then maybe I'll try some alternatives. That's definitely one of them.
Nice.
So we've done all the plants in the green. I also add this green to all the weathered areas for the factory paint, just so that they have signposts of where to put these colors. This goes on anywhere there's a crack, anywhere there is a broken piece, like on the bottom, there's a little broken edge. I'm just kind of stippling this on. There's a lot of ways you can do this. You can dry brush it in the same spots. You can dilute it a little bit, like a wash. You know, just like wash a little corner, something like that. Just let it sit in the recesses a little bit. But for the factory paint, it's mostly just going to be a dry brush stipple effect in all the spots that have a break of some kind. And there's going to be another brownish color over this, so it's going to look like really green, but then it's going to be muddied up with some browns and the like.
Nice. DMN Game says, is that glow airbrush medium or high flow medium?
Is what now?
Is the glow airbrush? Oh, he meant golden. Sorry.
Oh,
golden
this
airbrush.
This stuff that I showed is golden. Yeah. This isn't the medium that I'm using for the cobwebs. I don't think you need a specific one. It's just one that I had that's a little thicker. I forget the brand even, but that stuff's great for airbrush. Yeah. People are kind of sometimes miniatures. People get stuck in their brands, and just like regular art store brands have a lot of cool stuff you can use. So it's worth looking at those brands too. And those techniques too. Like a lot of techniques came from traditional art. So if you're looking for like where to place highlights and stuff, if you even just look at drawing videos and form, that can help your miniature painting a lot. That's what I've done.
What green are you using right now? Is this the shallow water?
This is shallow water green.
Okay. And then you're specifically putting it in the cracks and on plants.
Yeah, all the plants are based in it, and everywhere there's a crack or a break has a little bit of green.
Did you draw this inspiration from like natural occurring?
The green is pulled from the Dread Hollow scheme, so that they match.
Great.
So it's the same colors that are used on all the plants and grass and moss in that, so that they're cohesive. So I just put some base wood on there, just another sort of reddish brown. And we're going to use this selectively. I kind of call this the salt to taste step. Anywhere there's been a green patch, add a little bit of brown just for variance. You can wipe some of it away to lessen the effect, or add a little more, however you like.
Nice. Salt to taste.
Yeah.
As opposed to not tasting.
Right, and you can be sloppy with this. If it gets on this piece, that's great. Just looks like you don't have to be neat with this. If it gets all over, you can smudge it away. Look, and now you have a nice variance of a thick spot to a thin spot. All I did was wipe it with my finger.
And this also looks a lot more like a traditional ruin wood than it. Like, it's a big difference from the beginning. Less blue.
Right.
But that blue made a huge difference.
But it makes a huge difference. In
Yes.
fact, I had two versions. One was just what is it? Basalt blue?
Whatever you want to call it.
That blue, the first blue with stone edge, and then one that had the bubbles blue in the middle, and they look like two different pieces. You know, so it really adds a lot. Add some on the bottom. Think about where moisture would collect. So this is already the cracks and the breaks is where the factory's going to put them. You can do this yourself in extra areas. So that's what I'm doing now. Think of where moisture would collect, sort of at the bottom of things. It would drip down. You can do some downward strokes from some of the things. Smudge it away. Downward stroke. Smudge it away. Right. Downward stroke up here. And just think of where it would rain, that kind of thing. Do some over some of the white bits. adds some nice varied effects. Is going to show up very well there, so it does a lot of work selling the effect.
Builds character.
Yeah, exactly. And now you could actually leave it there if you want, but the factory will highlight the plants just as they are in Dread Hollow.
Do you have a Dread Hollow piece or anything from the forest to compare to?
I don't think I do, actually. I have painted very little Dread Hollow.
Well, we also have a lot of very good beauty photos of ruins versus like just inside of plant life too. So
Right.
I could probably find one and then post it on Discord.
But that's what's cool about that step and pulling from Dread Hollow is that like these look like their own thing, but it helps it be cohesive when you're building them together. So,
Wunderbar.
just doing a quick dry brush. I'm actually using slightly wet paint with the side of the brush technique again, just because it's a little bit faster. And the detail is sculpted in such a way that it takes this technique really well. So you don't have to do a really precise, super dry brush a million times. Have slightly wet paint, still barely any on the brush, just like a dry brush, but there's a little bit of moisture, and then just swipe it in downward strokes. And see, we didn't do a million dry brushes. We didn't wait for it to build up. We just did a quick highlight with the side of the brush, like that.
Ooh, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Some of the piece images, you'll see the vines a different color. They did exist as a different color in some of the Dread Hollow schemes, but they are changing in some areas, so for the sake of eliminating a step, we're doing the vines this way with the green.
Kevin Peter asks, Hamster, how long have you been painting minis and how did you learn your skills? Are you self-taught?
I wouldn't say I'm self-taught because I have watched hours of YouTube videos. I haven't taken a class, but fellow hobbyists have taught me a lot of things. I started painting miniatures when I was about 10 years old. I started with Warhammer Fantasy. I had the starter set that was Orcs and Goblins and Empire. I think that was 6th edition. So that's when I started. And it's kind of a common story where I did it all the way through high school. When I went to college, I stopped, didn't take any minis with me. So I took a bit of a break. But I really missed it. And then one day I got a targeted Facebook ad for a company called Dwarven Forge. And I liked the page because I thought it was awesome. And then like 3 weeks later, my mutual friend between me and Selena, the video wizard, he texted me. He's like, hey, have you heard of Dwarven Forge? I'm like, yeah, I have actually, just recently. Why? He's like, well, they're looking for painters. And I was like, oh, holy smokes. And I hadn't painted in years at this point, probably like 6 years. And so I thought, well, what the heck? I'll give it a shot, even though it's been a long time. And so I emailed Nina, and she said, send me your portfolio. I said, my what? Because they were, like, talking to art students and everything, right? So I made a YouTube video in high school showing off my miniatures, like, hey, guys, these are my Space Marines. I'm painting them in Ultramarines colors and all that. And so I ripped the video from YouTube, cut it up, muted the sound, and sent that as my portfolio.
Is it still available on YouTube?
It is. The username is Magic Flip Master, and they're still out there.
I have
There's
to
like two or
update
three. There's like 2 or 3 videos. You have to look something up quick, I'm sure.
No, I'm updating your exclamation mark hamster thing.
Oh, God.
It's now exclamation mark magic flip
Master.
master.
But so anyway, I went in for a paint test, and they just had a caverns piece because we're painting caverns deep. It had it was like a floor, the little floor and wall piece had a little pool in the middle, all of the detail steps, and they just set up some paints and they said, okay, make this one look like that. And it was funny because, you know, a lot of it is dry brushing, a lot of these things that I had done before, and it all just, I had like that moment of like, I've got it, I could do it. Like I saw all the steps and how I could do it. And so it all came back to me. And so they said, all right, let's do it. You're hired for a month during that bulk prototype painting phase that we talked about earlier, right? You're here for 4 weeks. And I was like, great, that's awesome. I'm painting models for a month. And then Nate looked at me one day. He said, "Hey, do you paint miniatures?" I said, "That's all I paint. I haven't painted anything else." And so I started painting some of the accessories. The first one was like that little totem in Caverns Deep that had like the red mask on like the triangle of logs sort of thing with like a banner on it.
Oh, I know what you're talking. Okay, yeah.
And then the Minotaur.
The Minotaur is amazing. I like
And
that one
from
very
there,
much.
I did the Rat Thief. Forget her name. I always called it the Rat Thief.
Probably Mace.
Probably Mace.
Maybe.
Yeah, and from there, I just kind of became the miniatures person and the accessories, tiny stuff person. Of course, they started talking about war games because I come from war games. I'd done some role playing, but I was like, I can't wait to use this in war games. And well, here we are. Now we're looking at war game sets. So I kind of at least got that in the back of Nate's mind a little bit, I think.
Yes, I think. Well, I mean, I feel like you're the major moving force in board games at Dwarven Forge. Like, I don't think anybody would have pushed for them if not for you.
Yeah.
DMN Games would like to know why the username Magic Flip Master.
So I made this in high school. Back when I was a skateboarder. And I was the only one of my friends that could do a good kickflip. And so they called me the Magic Flip Master. So
As you do.
Yeah, that's.
We actually didn't call him Hamster at first. We just kind of had the feeling that he would want to go by Magic Flip Master, but it didn't roll off the tongue.
Well, actually, it was funny because they were like, "Well, look, our other painter's named Aaron, so we need to call you something else." And,
well, okay, so mini painting is a hobby that you had in high school,
yeah.
And you came back to after you felt the absence of it.
Oh yeah, so I was hired for a month. I was mostly just base coating. Ended up finishing doing Caverns Deep like in their entirety, doing all the steps. Got into miniatures. Obviously loved it because that's like my jam. That's where it all began for me. And then here we are. The rest is history. Like it went from you're hired for a month. Okay, why don't you stay through the Kickstarter? Okay, why don't you stick around, do some other stuff? And now here I am, detail painter, wargamer.
Let's go, baby!
Let's go, baby!
Full time, baby!
Yeah, exactly. So very cool.
Duke of Dearth would like to know why you stopped the skateboarding, though.
You know what? I tried to pick it up last year again, and
I know it.
Showing up to a skate park in full pads, I was just like, you know what? Maybe I just won't hurt myself. So I haven't been skateboarding as much, but it is fun for exercise. So I've thought about doing it again, but I'm just like, what if I broke my painting hand?
Your squeezing arm.
Yeah. Safety first. Yeah. Exactly.
Safety last.
I had like the wrist guards, elbow, knees, helmet. I was looking like a cool kid, man.
Hey, cool kids do want to protect their health and well-being.
That's true.
Nothing wrong with that. You want to show off the ruins again?
Yeah. So this is basically the factory right here, guys. We've done it.
We done did.
That's where we're at.
I feel like I did a majority of the work here.
Yeah, you did a good job.
I'll go ahead and I'll stamp my name on that piece real quick.
Beep.
Beep.
Here we go.
This is Macy McFly on the bottom
Right
of it.
Here.
Dude, ensure your hand like J-Lo's. Oh, J-Lo's butt. Wow. Oh, shit. Snap.
There we go. Mace's piece.
Nice. Wow.
So what I originally did, and what I think is a good idea to do, is think of the gradient vertically, right? Again, going back to moisture, a lot of stuff is going to fall down and collect. So what I think is a cool step, and maybe you could do it on a few selective pieces, not on every piece, but I like to do a wash, possibly with green and brown. Again, salt to taste. But right now I'm just diluting my green, I'm diluting my brown to more of a wash. You want it to not fully break down, you want it to have some color, but you want it to be a little bit runny. and just wash it sort of on the bottom half and let
Do you
it.
normally test on your nail?
Yeah, I normally test the viscosity, the dilution levels on my nail like that.
Huh.
Like a glaze will mostly stay put, and a wash will be a little runnier, and you can also see the transparency because you can, seeing your nail underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can apply your wash. You can get a wet brush and take some of it away. You can do a second go at the bottom if you want. Take some of it away. Gets a little thicker. Add some greenness in there. Just diluting more green. Add that into the mix a little bit. Let it wet blend together. Smudge it out. Now you have a cool. See, when you dilute it and you apply it over that stone edge, it's really going to show up pretty well, but you can smudge it off and it still affects that color, but it adds a bit of variance. Take some of it away. Look at that.
2 questions really quick that I feel like go kind of hand in hand. The first one by Grave Mistake is, does it get any sort of a clear coat? And then the other one by Duke of Dirt says, does varnish damage dwarvenite?
Varnish is not going to harm anything. You don't typically need it on dwarvenite. Your paint usually sticks pretty well. However, it's not going to hurt. It's never going to be a bad idea. It will protect your pieces. But it's they might need some touch-ups once in a while, but it's not like it's chipping like crazy. It's not like my wargaming miniatures. Like I would handle painted dwarvenite differently than I would paint wargaming miniatures, which like I would varnish, I would prime. But dwarvenite takes paint pretty well, and it lasts pretty well. So not a step you need.
Minis can be very finicky about I feel like they just need a clear coat or varnish. Like they just need a finishing step, otherwise the paint will chip almost.
Well, especially for game pieces that are touched and moved around a lot, stuff like that. Yeah.
A lot of people are telling me job well done on the piece that I just painted. So thank you
nice,
guys.
Mace. Look.
Thank you. I always write my name on the bottom of every piece.
Right.
Yep. That's just how it goes.
All right. So now we're gonna do these last two, and we're gonna focus up and show you like just how efficient you can be. So we've already done the first 2 steps, the base coat and the dry brush. So this is just all the steps we've seen already in review. We're going to paint the metallic parts blue. We're just detailing now so that our final step ties everything together, weathers everything up.
Before you paint that piece, will you hold it up to the finished piece just to show the difference in the base coat and the final?
So here you can see, especially in some of the recesses here and some of the recesses here, that dark blue is showing up. So that is doing a lot of work for you. It shows up here a little bit. And then the light blue the light blue next to the stone edge makes it look like highlighted dusty bluish as opposed to stone edge. So I really like that combination. But this is just the base blue. This is just one extra dry brush in this. And that's the final.
Yeah, it shows up much paler than you initially would think with the base coats that you have on that.
Yeah, exactly. This one doesn't have any of the twisties, so we'll just do this.
Lady Sibel's also in chat, which she's the person who did all the sculpting of these pieces. She's very good with fine details.
Oh my god, yeah. And like I say, I love how the depth of the detail, where you can use that side of the brush technique, it's like the perfect depth.
I really do want to get just an entire batch, like at least 80 of these ruins pieces to see how high up I can go.
Just a massive tower.
Yeah. Just, I've been moving my desk around so much. I need to build a fort around it, and I think this is the right piece to do that with.
Oh, you're going to make a dwarvenite fort?
Yeah, Fortress of Solitude. Neofoya has some really good advice. He or she or they say, always try materials before you start doing a lot of pieces. I usually go for the dead side. Oh my gosh, dead side while
Dead
checking if
inside?
paint. I know. Oh man, dead side while checking if paint will stay tacky or not, which is great advice.
100%.
Always go with
Always
the
do a
dead
test piece.
inside piece.
I'll always do a test piece. Always try a new material on a scratch piece or on one piece before you do it on a large batch. Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yep.
Very good advice. And also a fail, yes. Also will
Yep.
agree with that.
And the dead inside is just a Freudian slip. Says Spoonbender. Duke of Death says, when it dries tacky, I'm dead inside. Duke of Dearth. Jeez. Okay. People need days off.
And see, look at that. I even had some wet moss green on like my hand or something, and it showed up. And you know what? This is the perfect piece for that to happen because I'm just going to leave it. It's going to look like moss or weathering.
Ooh. I feel like this would be... No.
What?
I just, it'd be a good piece to have some flowers or something floral going on.
That'd be cool.
And a little pink.
Yeah. Glue some of the tufts to the base or something. I don't know how that would look with like sculpted terrain with the tufts, but
Yeah, I don't know either. That's kind of what
I
I was
don't know
like.
if anyone's done that. Be interested to
I
see.
feel like there's been mods of our pieces. I haven't seen so many in a long time. Oh, one fun thing that we can promote for the stream tonight, though,
What's up?
is you're going to say your final words, I hear, on Wednesday night. Probably
Yeah.
like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern-ish, but
My-
it's going to start at 7. That's going to be like the whole, I'll you Googleize you from there.
My final
At
words,
7
huh?
p.m. Yeah, during some wargaming tournaments.
Yeah, I think so.
I do. I really do. Otherwise, I would not say it on air, huh? But
Fair
we're
enough.
also, I think what's important to like kind of outline is we're going to be kind of making our own system happen so that we have 3 different people playing.
It's going to be a lightning round. They're all going to be
Yes.
lightning rounds. We're gonna do a quick scenario, objective scenario, in a war game like fashion, in 3 different biomes, plus a finale, right?
Yes.
And that's gonna happen in 2.5 hours. So they're gonna be lightning fast rounds, really fast paced and exciting. Probably based within like a Frostgrave type system, maybe with fewer spells, just a couple high impact spells a piece, and just make it fast and fun.
So the people playing, it's going to be you, me, and Toby.
Awesome.
And one of the great things about Dwarven Forge is the way that I became close with Toby was purely through being mean to him. And I feel like we didn't, have a friendship in any kind of sense of the world without that initial bonding through being mean. And then with you, it kind of was just shocking how well you took just trash talk. So I'm excited to let my true colors out, get all this pent up tension and stress from the Kickstarter out on the game table,
Right.
and just knock you down into your grave.
Yeah,
I think
we'll
that's
see.
going to be good for me. We will see. Factually, we will see that happen. Yes. Thank you for agreeing.
Yeah, I'm my style is just to hold my tongue and let the results speak for themselves. So you say anything you want, and
I let my tongue go, but I also the results do speak for me. So it's fun for me.
So certain steps. This is why that last step helps us so much. I didn't do the dark blue on this side. I'm not even going to fix that. I just did the silver anyway. It'll be a slightly, a little bit of variance. So don't belabor those little mistakes too much, because the final result is still going to be great. Now we're on to the white details.
Are these pieces going faster?
Yeah.
Okay.
we're not talking about the steps quite as much. We're just kind of going
Okay.
through the motions again,
I was
and
gonna say, like,
showing how quick they can go. And we're doing them both at the same time.
yeah, they're not much smaller, but that makes sense. I feel like that ruin pile might get challenging though.
Maybe it's mostly just it will help you if you have a full set to like do the same pieces in a batch, because you will learn where all the vines are, where all the hidden little metallic areas are. I just missed one again. We'll do that very fast. You'll learn where those are so that, you won't be like searching around for each piece. If you're doing different
Cool.
ones, you'll just learn the kind of anatomy of the piece.
Have you done any of the Thor pieces?
I did when we did the bulk painting. So I did learn the Thor scheme.
Duke of Dearth would like to know how fast you can paint a mountain piece.
Mountains are super fast. Mountains are very fast. It's mostly dry brushing, right?
Yeah.
And they're primarily one color, like one main dominant color. So those go by really fast. I mean, me and Aaron, before one of the shooting days, we had to do a rush of mountains, where we painted like we almost painted the full mountains build and the mega build, that amount, like in a day. Like we painted almost all those over like maybe 1 or 2 days.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep. They go fast.
They go fast, especially when you just get in the zone. And again, you've learned the anatomy of each piece. You've learned the scheme. Then you're just flying.
Do you have a favorite ruins piece or piece in general for this Kickstarter? Oh, I know that you did the what's really exciting is the mini that you did was unveiled yesterday.
Yes.
And I think it's important. I think it's a great piece, and like I know that you had like some turmoil with it initially.
I did. It was a very tight deadline for the Wyvern. That was a very fast turnover, but it ended up being my favorite miniature that I've painted for Dwarven Forge, I think.
It's fantastic. Also,
the sculpt is cool.
Yeah, it's so dynamic. I love that piece. It's one of my favorite minis that I've seen.
Yeah.
I also know that you had some like for one of the the armies that you painted on stream, you were kind of questioning the color scheme, but you make these bold choices and they always pay off in the end, I think.
I've been trying to each whether it's a warband or a new miniature, like try one thing that's brand new, right? Like try one thing that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, and that's how you grow, right? Is you keep pushing that limit just a little bit, and sometimes it doesn't work out, but sometimes it does. Like for instance, the Wyvern, I thought I was doing an organic patchy look, and it looked like bad Pimp My Ride detailing on the wings. So I was not
spoiler on a Wyvern.
I was not feeling great. It looked like flame details. I had a moment, but then I fixed it, and now it is what it looks like now, and it looks really cool.
It looks fantastic. I even when I saw the piece, I didn't know any of the kind of wording that you had for the inspiration, but it did look like butterfly wings, and I learned after that that was a specific part of it. So I think that, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that was part of like the concept art and the design that Nate talked about with Crystal, I think. And that was just such a cool idea to have like a beast that has butterfly-like patterns. Like I think that's so cool, and it ended up being really subtle, but I think it works. Just the pattern has a little bit of that effect.
Duke of Dearth, Neophoia, Rabbit Burner, and Desert Dweller all loved the Wyvern paint. Spoonbender as well. So
yay! Thanks, guys.
Something great. Yeah.
I was really excited for that to be revealed. I knew it was coming in the game, so I was really excited to see the reaction.
More people are just saying how much they like the Wyvern too.
Yes.
Yes. So great job.
Yay.
I believe that's a 2.4 stretch goal for the Untamed pledge, and we are at I think 2.35-ish right now. I'm checking it. You can tell by my white unbalanced face, but yeah, 2.35 0.35. So eventually we'll be able to unlock that.
Yeah. So notice here, I'm on the Stone Edge dry brush, and I'm going a little faster, but I'm never going very hard. Because that's when you're going to get streaks and like really thick spots that you don't want. This is where you want more control. So I'm going fast. I don't want to belabor because we're going to have a full set of these, right? So I want to keep the brush moving, but I'm never pressing down super hard. I'm just building it up. And if I want a little more, I just stay on that area, but I never press down. And I shouldn't say I never press down, but when I do, I regret it. That's when you get a streak. That's when you get a blotch, right? That's when you get impatient and you're like, screw it. I just want to get this area done, and then it doesn't work out. So just be patient with this step.
Do you have any tips for batch painting for like when people feel like they're going insane?
Yes, just make the batch smaller. Even if you're mid-batch and you're like, I'm not going to be able to do this, push a few to the side. Even if it's just 2, you know, it's going to be faster and more efficient than 1 at a time. But if you're like really losing steam, just crank out what you can and get that feeling of finishing something, and that's going to rejuvenate you. Or switch projects. That really boosts your energy. If you have a different unit in the army you're painting, or a completely different warband, a different game, maybe it's an RPG model, you know, switch it up, and that will rejuvenate you. I like to have like my army or like my kind of game bulk project, and then like a more detail-oriented project that's just picking away at a thing. And so I can kind of switch between those.
Do you have your detail painting project on hand now? Could we see what you're working on?
Yeah, I haven't been working on it in a while because it's mostly been Dwarven Forge, but I think I have it back here. So this is just like a Space Marine, and I'm just kind of been experimenting with like placing highlights on power armor and using different glazes. So I've gone back and forth on the shading of this like a million times. Right now it's a little bit in a more subtle phase, except for the back of the legs. That's kind of where it would end up. But using different materials, new materials that I haven't used, different techniques, different viscosity, different dilutions of glazes, not just using glazes, but trying different dilutions for different products. This is just something to pick at. That's not like I'm trying to jam this out for an army really fast. This is just a practice thing. So that's an example of that. You know, I can have I'm working on my Eldar army. I got my 10 Eldar Guardians or something that I'm trying to crank out. I'm like, okay, losing steam. Let me just throw paint around on this.
So as the resident wargamer, which biome is like your, like, are most excited, I guess, to play in?
Well, obviously I'm biased, but it's gotta be the ruins.
Okay, yeah.
Like, they can just, I feel like you can put them in any environment. They could be in a desert. They could be in a forest, a mountain. They could be poking out of a lake or something. You know, like any environment, sci-fi even. The playable space is so cool, like, especially with the new verticality rules, like in 40k and all that. Like, playing on top of it when you get a really big construction of it, they can move up and down. Warcry, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really excited about how the different ways that these will be used, and especially when we expand on them. The possibilities are endless.
That is incredibly important to point out, is that we do have a lot of ruins coming out in this Kickstarter, but because of the current situation of the world, we had to cut several of the sculpts that Michelle worked very hard on, and like they're so gorgeous. So it's like we're not dropping them, we're just not, you know, printing them this time, but come the future, there might be something around the corner. Have you painted any of the sculpts that are not in this current KS?
Yeah, because I painted them before they were cut.
Right.
So they exist. They're out there. They're ready to go.
There's a paint master somewhere.
Yeah.
Cool. Somebody said thanks for the beans, but that's not beans. That's just hinting at possibilities that could happen. It's just like Stefan saying that there's going to be a minis Kickstarter. Like, who knows? Maybe he'll have one. I don't know anything about that. I am not a fortune teller, but I'll name a price. I feel like this one would be fun to add those like little shocks of green and like brown and everything.
Yes, a lot of deep recesses. There's extra plants going on. This has been lower to the ground. So yeah, you can go nuts with this one.
One of my favorite ideas from this Kickstarter is the idea of nature taking back, like just taking over again.
Yeah.
There's a word for that, but I forget what it is. But I just like the idea of nature like prevailing overall.
It's really cool. Like, I like how, because kind of one of our guiding principles for this was like no civilization in this set. But that's what's cool. It's like this is a remnant of it, but it is no longer like humanoid, like people civilization.
Yeah, somehow
It's
uncivilized
reclaimed.
majesty. Yeah. One of the cool things that we did before the Kickstarter was we also kind of outlined what we would want in a world, people in the office. And because we did know at the time all the biomes of everything, we were able to take a landscape and kind of like place things in that we would want them. And I have said it already probably 5 times this hour. I'm from the Midwest, so I chose the plains because I'm like, this feels like home.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of like abandoned castles and like some of the ruins and everything. But what's cool is like there's so many animals that like live in like a lot of different plains. Well, like plains in the sense of like mountains and like forests and everything. But like the plains, it's kind of like nobody's gonna say no to like abundance of nothingness, really. So it's
Right.
like I could go manticore, I could go like lion, I could go all crazy, and kind of got a lot of leeway with that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
the
that's
plains
what's-
was fun to dabble with.
That's what's cool about this
too.
Kickstarter is like how varied it is, right? Just having the 3
Yeah.
different biomes to dip into is just so fun.
Yeah, I'm the swamp probably started as the one that I was least excited about, and then grew into the one that I was most excited about.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I like the texturized scenery for the base level. That like I like saw that project from the beginning to the end, and so it's been really fun to see step-by-step processes. I think it's the same thing that we try to do with like on the anvil and everything, where it's like we're actually making pieces as they come. So
Right.
kind of like seeing this paint scheme grow. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, that water texture, man, that does for me. Whew.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Well, a lot of people like the water tiles, and I love the idea of water tiles, but genuinely seeing the texture on the tray with the pieces, it looks so real. It's kind of like, how can you not like
Well,
how
it's
can you
just
not
like
want that?
the art is so good now. Like the train
Yes.
art just gets better and better.
Yeah, Janet, one of our graphic designers, has a lot of hand in that too. And we do like hire outside the office to do the terrain tray art, but Janet just like cleans it up and makes it like one really cool environment.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
She's like really in the loop on like its function and stuff, and makes it like
Yes.
DF.
Well, she's the reason why we have the texture on the terrain trays now, because we were trying to think of a realistic way to like make it look like water. And she said, "What about that film people put on windows to like a water window film, like window something, window covering, I don't know, but
Yeah, I
we
know what you're talking
bought
about.
a ton of it, and then we sampled a ton of different ones, and we ended up with one that worked really well, sent it to the factory, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. So that was all like
Nice.
Janet's brainchild. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. Shelf liner. It's kind of like shelf liner, but it's not, it's like clear. The Antipodian D20 says, as long as there is a giant crocodile in there, Stefan will be happy. Robot with his tongue out, and then robot with a happy face. I don't know if it's best to show you the emojis or just to say them out loud.
I was gonna say it's fun to have the Mace version, the Mace description of all the.
Okay. It goes. And then
For a second, I forgot whether or not your video was up, so if that was like just for me or if
That's for everybody.
yeah.
Neofoya says, since I'm from Sweden and our forests are usually really. I've never seen this word before. Oh, they might mean varied with trees. Like the forest I live has both evergreens and leaf, they do, shedding trees, and a lot of different tree families too. I keep getting weirded out by seeing only one type of trees in a natural forest. I get that. I feel like I've seen evergreens also with like uh deciduous trees or like trees with leaves that will fall too. It's natural to have both, especially like in more mountainous areas. I feel like you have to have a mixture of both, but
That's one of my favorite parts about this Kickstarter is how many different trees there are now, and when you put them together in a build, it just looks amazing. Like Dread Hollow was my favorite part of Caverns Deep,
oh
uh,
yeah.
and like I just couldn't think I didn't think it could get better, but it just looks incredible now with the variety of stuff you can add to it.
Yeah, and the trees are very adaptable too, so it's like you're not stuck to one environment.
Yeah. Well, I like that a lot of them are standalone now, and you can move them around how you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Eli's tree, the
Super cool.
Quildren, I think it's called.
Super
It,
cool.
yes. So
That is an
originally.
example of one that had like 5 different iterations. It probably took the
Oh
longest
wait,
to
did you do that one?
get approved. Yeah.
Oh, great work.
Thank you.
It's got a lot of good opalescence to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, how do you get that? I'll ask you on a different stream.
Honestly, a lot of use of acid yellow, which is one of our colors. It's like very
Really?
fluorescent. Yeah.
As a
Um,
base or
just like mixed with a lot of the browns and oranges and greens and stuff. Um, and then there's interference paint. There's like the Wyverstone Dwarvenite type effect paint that's on the leaves as well.
Oh, I guess okay, so the word that I had no idea about is a Swedish word for varied.
Oh, nice. So you still got it.
I still got
The
it. It's
definition,
just like
yeah.
my brain broke.
Yeah.
Cool. Now I know Swedish.
Now you know all of Swedish.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm the ambassador actually, so I love leaps and I love bounds. I'm very good at both of those things. Oh, you didn't do the thumb test this time.
No, I'm just kind of going by feel. Like if you add a thick spot, smudge it away, it stays in the recesses, has a little film on top. So you can get as nuts or as not nuts as you like. Dilutions,
All right.
washes, dry brushing, stippling, all that.
Somebody posted an actual sentence in Swedish in the chat.
Yeah?
Do I dare?
Well, you know what it says, right? You're the Swedish ambassador.
Well, I know that Neofoya just said, "Are you Norsk?" But okay. NX79 said, "Yes." Something Finnish, I think. But I have no idea. I mean, I'm probably wrong. Leaps and bounds, I tell you. Leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
That's the only way to travel now that coronavirus is rampaging across the United States.
See, these are going much faster once you get it down. And the scheme, like the piece helps you because with weathering, like you can be messy, so it helps
Also,
the speed.
the detailed sculpt also, like it
100%.
catches easy, I bet.
100%, yeah. Sculpt definitely works in your favor. Okay. We're almost done.
Woo! Oh, it was Norwegian. I'm a fraud.
You should have known.
I should have known.
I'm wiping on my hand. You can use a towel. I wipe it on my towel too. It's just to get the excess off for the side of the brush technique to make sure you don't have a blob. And to test the moisture level. You can feel it a little better on your skin, the moisture level. But you don't have to paint your hand to paint Dwarvenite.
As a painter, are there any biomes where you would suggest, yes, buy this painted, or maybe paint this yourself for other painters? Or pieces even.
I think the simplest and fastest to paint would be Aranthor Mountains. If you had to pick one to go unpainted, probably that one. Swamps are a lot of banks and standalone pieces and like maybe slightly smaller pieces and like fewer floors. So maybe that one. I think the most time-consuming one to paint would be Dreadhollow Forest.
Okay.
But all of the schemes are designed in such a way to be accessible to paint. Like they're definitely all doable. So if you are really excited to try painting, I wouldn't really discourage you from either one being unpainted for you. I think all the schemes are very, again, low precision, but very cool result. But I would rank them that way. Easiest, Aranthor. Next, probably Swamp. Most difficult, Dreadhollow Forest.
You didn't put ruins.
Oh, well, now you can decide for yourself if you're here. You've seen the scheme,
I guess,
right?
yeah, that's true.
You've seen the scheme.
I guess it's also not separate from. Is it in mountains?
I think it's an add-on now, isn't it? Does it come in like a big? Yeah. Does it come in a big pledge? I'm not sure.
You know, I should know because I do the updates, but I really don't.
Yeah, I should too.
My brain is melting. It's fine.
There's a lot of pledges.
There is a lot of pledges.
Of sets.
Oh yeah, have you been like thinking of what you're gonna get for the Kickstarter yourself?
I have.
Okay, what are you gonna get?
I mean, I really want a lot of ruins.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I also I'm really excited for the elevation that Aranthor can give you, just like hardcore elevation, and I'm very interested in the tree diversity, like getting like a bunch of different trees for because I have 2 Dreadhollow sets.
I think I specifically am going to do mostly trees for the ability to make a autumn paint scheme.
Yes, I want to do an autumn scheme too. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I want to make some kind of video on Dreadhollow autumn.
I guess number one issue with picking out things too is kind of like, I live in New York. I have a studio apartment where I have a table for eating and a table for laying all my junk on. Where am I going to put all these builds once I unbox them?
Right. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. They haven't left their boxes for that reason.
I guess I'll just store them at your place until I'm ready to use them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay, great.
It's going to be one of those things where like, yeah, I'm borrowing these, but they're just there for a decade.
Exactly.
Well, I think we're done, team.
Hey, look at that.
Ooh.
All right. Well, let's do one more plug for your painting avenues.
That's what basements are for. I wish. Imagine if you had a basement.
There's no such thing as basements in New York.
If I had a basement, it would for sure be like a gamer cave.
Nice.
Oh, Mine would saying goodnight. Bye, Robert Burnett. You did it. You got it. We're done here. We finished the ruins. So I hope that was fun.
You said it late.
Yeah, take care, Rabbit.
6 hours away.
And it's 8:59. Look at that. We are almost right on the money for our slot.
All right, great job.
Yeah, so I hope that was clear, and I hope it encourages you to try painting our pieces because the schemes are designed to be doable if you're interested in painting unpainted. They're designed with efficiency, that balance of efficiency and result and cool factor. So
nice.
Thank you. That means a lot from you, Michelle. I appreciate it. She said a good job, and she sculpted them, and I am in love with the sculpts. So thank you. Thank you, Rabbit. Rabbit has adjusted his sleep schedule to accommodate the streams.
Oh yeah, Finley too.
Yeah, of course. 2 a.m. isn't late. I have learned that this quarantine has screwed with my sleep schedule so much that it's like 2 in the morning and I'm just wide awake. Thanks for the great stream. I'm so glad you liked it. Thanks for being here, everybody. So what's next? What's happening on stream tomorrow?
Okay, so tomorrow that's my down day.
Right.
So it's going to be Chris and Nate talking about the game from yesterday.
Cool.
Which is, I think they're deconstructing Nate's build, actually, which is mostly the new Aaron Thor and then a few of the Dread Hollow and then a few of the Swamp pieces, too. So that's going to be cool. And then on Tuesday, we have a Wildlands survival guide with all the sculptors, Michelle included, who did the lovely ruins on here. And then we have Eli and Nina as well. And then Wednesday is not the day. That's the practice day.
Oh,
Wednesday,
right.
yeah. Thursday is the war game. Wednesday, I'm looking it up. Oh, that's when we have Die Hard Dice on, which Die Hard Dice made these amazing, like, panoramic style dice for us.
So cool.
And we're going to have them. It's a lot more complicated than you would think to make dice that are well balanced. So I'm excited to learn more about that. And then Thursday, we have the war game. And you guys can all say your final words to Hamster.
Every time you talk about it, you get the most mischievous look on your face.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just really like war games.
I'm glad you do. I'm glad that you're getting into it, because obviously I love that stuff.
Yeah, I know. If it weren't for you, I would never play war games. So look at the monster you've made.
Yes, one of us.
We accept her, one of us. All right, and then
Cool.
Friday, I guess we should finish up this week's schedule, huh? For the streams. Friday we have another Wildlands survival stream, and then Saturday we actually have a build jam, which is an entirely new thing that we're trying out, where Tyler and Toby are going head to head, building against each other, trying to see who has the best build out of the new pieces. So that's this week's streaming stuff. Very excited.
A lot of fun.
Lots of fun. I'll see you on Thursday, Hamster.
Wait, no, I gotta punch down this way. That's where you are right now.
Yeah, that's it. That's I'll
Oh, ow.
my eyes.
Oh gosh. Pew, 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 pew.
Are you gonna make me tiny again?
Oh yeah.
Alright, I'm waiting.
We're gonna put you on top of the ruins. You're on the playlist.
Yes.
There's May.
Look at me.
Now you're on the floor.
I'm in the piece. I'm the army.
Okay.
Oh, yo, we should.
Bye, Mace. I'll make you smaller and smaller till you vanish.
Alright, bye.
Awesome.
Oh no. Oh no.
Well, now you're back.
Put me back. I want to be small again.
Bye.
Okay. I can't see the screen until like a minute after, so this is gold. All right. Bye.